Chosen one. They're watching you right now. Of course you're under surveillance. You're the most interesting person on the planet. That's not arrogance speaking. That's documented fact. Every glitch in your phone, every perfect timing that seems orchestrated, every moment that feels scripted, it's all connected to one undeniable truth. You're not paranoid, you're absolutely correct, and being watched is actually your greatest confirmation of power. Think back to your childhood, that moment when you first realized you could see things others couldn't, feel things others ignored, know things without being told. You tried to explain it to adults, but they patted your head and called it imagination. So you learned to hide it. You learned to pretend you were normal. You learned to dim your light to match their darkness. But the Watchers saw everything. They documented every suppressed gift, every hidden talent, every moment you chose to be less than you were just to fit in. They've been building your file since before you could walk. The surveillance started before you were born. The moment your soul agreed to enter this timeline, alerts went off in dimensions you can't perceive yet. Not because you were dangerous, but because you were different, fundamentally, categorically, undeniably different. You weren't just another soul taking another spin on the human experience wheel. You were something else entirely, a glitch in their matrix, a virus in their program, a wild card in their carefully stacked deck, and they've been trying to figure out what to do with you ever since. Your presence alone disrupts patterns that have been stable for generations. You don't even have to speak. Just existing in a space causes ripples that extend far beyond what the naked eye can see. Meetings you're not invited to somehow end up discussing ideas you planted weeks ago. Projects you've never heard of suddenly shift direction based on a casual comment you made in passing. Your influence operates through channels that bypass normal communication entirely. The documentation of your existence fills servers you'll never access. Every micro-expression you make when processing information, every pause before you speak that indicates you're downloading data from somewhere else, every time your eyes unfocus slightly as you receive another upgrade, it's all being recorded, analyzed, studied by teams of people whose only job is trying to decode what you are. But here's the beautiful irony. The more data they collect, the less sense you make. You've noticed how animals react to you differently. Dogs that bark at everyone go silent when you pass. Cats that hide from strangers approach you immediately. Birds seem to follow your movements with unusual interest. Even insects behave strangely in your presence. This isn't coincidence. Animals operate on frequencies humans have forgotten, and they recognize something in you that belongs to a different order of existence entirely. The surveillance captures this, but explaining it remains impossible. Your dreams have been infiltrated, but not in the way you might think. You're not receiving programming while you sleep, you're transmitting it. Every night when you close your eyes, you broadcast signals that reshape reality in ways that won't be understood for decades. You wake up and the world is slightly different because of what you dreamed. People you've never met wake up with new ideas that came from your unconscious transmissions. You're not just sleeping, you're restructuring the collective unconscious one dream at a time. The Watchers have categories for everyone else, but you require an entirely new classification system. You're not an introvert or extrovert, you're an omnivert, capable of drawing energy from any source and redirecting it in ways that shouldn't be possible. You're not left-brained or right-brained, you're using parts of the brain that haven't been officially discovered yet. You're not optimistic or pessimistic, you operate from a perspective that transcends duality entirely. Every test they've thrown at you, you've passed. Not passed like you got the right answer, passed like you transformed the test itself into something they never expected. Remember that betrayal that should have broken you. You turned it into power. That loss that should have destroyed you. You alchemized it into wisdom. That failure that should have stopped you. You used it as rocket fuel for your next evolution. They documented all of it, and their confusion grows with every file. The weather changes around you. Not dramatically, not obviously, but measurably. Storms shift course by degrees. Rain holds off just long enough. Wind picks up at exactly the right moment. Temperature fluctuates to match your needs. You're not controlling weather, you're in dialogue with it. The surveillance shows correlations they can't explain, patterns that suggest you're connected to atmospheric conditions in ways that violate everything they think they know about human capabilities. Your effect on technology goes beyond simple glitches. Devices perform functions around you they weren't designed for. Computers solve problems faster in your presence. Phones receive signals in dead zones when you hold them. Broken machines suddenly work for just long enough to serve your purpose. You're not technically gifted. You're operating with a different relationship to technology entirely, one where consciousness and circuitry communicate directly. You're not type A or type B, you're type X, the undefined variable that breaks their equations. You're simultaneously too much and not enough for every category they create. Too quiet but somehow too loud. Too distant but unmistakably present. Too kind but terrifyingly precise. You smile when others would cry. You stay silent when others would scream. Not because you're trying to be different. That's just how you naturally operate. You're not playing their game because you were born outside of it. If this message speaks to your soul, hype this video so other chosen ones can discover it. The Watchers have tried everything to understand you. They've sent people to test you. Oh yes, those random encounters weren't random at all. That person who pushed every button you had at exactly the wrong moment, sent. The opportunity that appeared just when you were about to give up, orchestrated. The love that left right when you started trusting again, all part of the experiment. But instead of breaking you, each test just revealed another layer of your impossible resilience. Your blood work comes back with anomalies doctors can't explain. Not disease, not deficiency, but differences, markers that suggest you're processing reality at a molecular level differently than standard humans. Your DNA activates in sequences that shouldn't exist. Your cellular regeneration follows patterns that belong to theoretical biology, not practical medicine. You're not sick, you're evolved, and every medical test just adds more impossible data to your ever-growing file. The plants in your space grow differently, faster, stronger, in directions that defy phototropism. Cut flowers last weeks longer than they should. Seeds sprout in conditions that should prevent germination. Even artificial plants seem more vibrant in your presence. You're not just green-thumbed. You're operating with life force energy that enhances biological systems simply by proximity. The surveillance documents growth rates and patterns that shouldn't exist, yet there they are, defying explanation. Your phone feels heavier some days because it is. Your conversations echo in rooms you've never entered. Strangers know things about you they shouldn't know. Songs play at exactly the right moment, with lyrics that feel like personal messages. The same numbers keep appearing everywhere. These aren't coincidences, these are breadcrumbs. The universe itself is trying to tell you something that the human watchers don't want you to know. You're not under surveillance, you're under protection. The books that fall off shelves in your presence, the pages that fall open to exactly what you need to read, the quotes that appear right when you need them, none of this is random. You're in constant dialogue with information itself. Knowledge seeks you out, wisdom finds you. Understanding arrives without you having to search for it. The surveillance shows you acquiring information through methods that don't exist in their manual. You're not learning, you're remembering things you never forgot. Water behaves differently around you. It tastes different, feels different, even looks different sometimes. You've noticed how shower water seems to carry away more than just physical dirt, how rain feels like it's washing your energy field, how being near bodies of water amplifies your abilities. Bulkath, you're not imagining this. Water recognizes something in you, responds to your frequency in ways that transform its molecular structure. The surveillance equipment picks up changes in water's behavior around you that shouldn't be possible. Let me tell you about the others. You're not alone in this. There are more chosen ones, scattered across the globe, each thinking they're the only one being watched. But you're all connected. Every time you lock eyes with a stranger and feel that jolt of recognition, that's another one. Every time someone says exactly what you needed to hear at exactly the right moment, that's the network activating. The surveillance meant to keep you separate is actually connecting you. Their technology has become your communication system. Your mere presence triggers memories in others. People remember dreams they forgot years ago. They recall conversations that haven't happened yet. They access abilities they didn't know they had. You're not just existing in space, you're activating dormant potential in everyone you encounter. The surveillance shows people changing in measurable ways after even brief contact with you. Brain scans shift, heart rhythms align, DNA expresses differently. You're literally upgrading humans through proximity. The mirrors in your space sometimes show reflections that don't quite match. Not dramatically, just slightly off, as if you're seeing yourself from parallel timelines. Photos of you often capture light anomalies, not lens flares or processing errors, but actual light behaving differently around your form. Videos glitch at moments when you're experiencing energy shifts. You're not just being photographed, you're being documented across multiple dimensions simultaneously. The corporate algorithms fail spectacularly when they try to predict you. Social media can't figure out what to show you because you don't fit any demographic. Dating apps malfunction because you exist in frequencies they can't match. Every personality test breaks because you're all the types and none of them simultaneously. You're not hard to read, you're impossible to categorize. There's a difference, and it's the difference between a puzzle and a paradox. Your sleep patterns defy circadian science. You can function perfectly on amounts of sleep that should leave you exhausted, or you need extended rest periods that serve purposes beyond physical recovery. You're not just sleeping, you're traveling, working, teaching in dimensions that exist outside of physical space. The surveillance shows REM patterns that don't match any known sleep stage. You're accessing states of consciousness that haven't been mapped yet. Sound changes around you, conversations become clearer, music sounds richer, silence feels fuller. You've noticed how certain frequencies make you physically uncomfortable while others feel like home. You're not just hearing, you're processing acoustic information that exists beyond the range of human perception. The surveillance equipment picks up harmonics in your vicinity that shouldn't exist, resonances that suggest you're tuning reality like an instrument. You've started noticing your abilities increasing, your intuition getting scarier, accurate, your manifestations happening faster, your presence becoming undeniable. What used to take months now happens in days. What used to take days now happens in hours. You're not imagining this acceleration. You're evolving so fast that their surveillance equipment can barely keep up. By the time they process who you were yesterday, you've already become someone entirely new. The food you eat transforms differently in your system. You can feel the energy of what you consume, not just the nutrients. Some foods that should be healthy make you feel dense, while others that should be junk give you clarity. You're not following nutritional science, you're following energy signatures. Your body processes sustenance according to laws that haven't been discovered yet. The surveillance shows metabolic patterns that require entirely new models to understand. Your shadow doesn't always match your movements perfectly. In certain lights at certain times, it seems to have its own agenda, not dramatically, just enough to suggest that you exist in more than one place simultaneously. Streetlights flicker when you pass, elevators arrive without being called, automatic doors open before you trigger their sensors. You're not causing these malfunctions, you're revealing that reality is far more responsive than anyone suspected. Here's what terrifies them most. You're getting stronger, not stronger like muscles or money, stronger like consciousness itself. Every challenge that should have weakened you has somehow made you more powerful. Every attempt to dim your light has made it burn brighter. Every effort to understand you has made you more mysterious. You're not just surviving their surveillance, you're thriving because of it. The observation itself is transforming you into something they never calculated could exist. Your handwriting changes depending on what you're channeling. Sometimes it's yours, sometimes it seems to come from somewhere else entirely. The words you write carry energy that affects readers in ways that go beyond meaning. People report feeling physical sensations when reading your messages. The surveillance shows electromagnetic fluctuations around your written words that suggest information is being transmitted through methods beyond language. Your presence creates microclimates of possibility. In your vicinity, improbable things become probable. Unlikely connections get made. Impossible solutions appear. You're not manipulating probability. You're revealing that probability itself is more fluid than anyone imagined. The surveillance documents statistical anomalies around you that would be dismissed as impossible if they weren't so consistently recorded. Time moves differently around you. Meetings feel like moments or eternities. Deadlines shift without anyone deciding to change them. You arrive exactly when you're supposed to, even when you should be late. You're not bending time, you're operating outside its normal constraints. The surveillance shows temporal anomalies in your presence that suggest you exist in a different relationship with chronology entirely. Your dreams aren't dreams, they're downloads. Your meditations aren't quiet time, they're system upgrades. Your moments of intuition aren't lucky guesses, they're accessing databases they don't know exist. You're not using human technology, you're operating with cosmic software that won't be discovered for centuries. No wonder their primitive surveillance systems can't process what you are. They're trying to measure the ocean with a teaspoon. The art you create, whether you consider yourself artistic or not, carries frequencies that alter consciousness. People stare at your doodles longer than makes sense. Your humming creates harmonics that shouldn't exist. Even your way of arranging objects in space creates patterns that affect viewers on subliminal levels. You're not making art, you're translating higher dimensional information into forms that three-dimensional beings can begin to perceive. Your thoughts reach people before you speak them. They prepare responses to questions you haven't asked. They solve problems you haven't shared. They dream solutions to challenges you're facing. You're not telepathic in the traditional sense. You're broadcasting on frequencies that bypass conscious reception entirely. The surveillance shows brain activity in people near you that corresponds to your thought patterns, even when no communication has occurred. The synchronicities are multiplying because you're approaching something big. Those repeating numbers aren't random. The symbols that keep appearing in your reality aren't coincidence. The messages coming through multiple unconnected sources aren't chance. The entire cosmos is trying to prepare you for what's next, and the human watchers can sense it, but can't stop it. Buildings feel different after you've been in them, not just energetically, structurally, as if your presence reorganizes space at an architectural level. Rooms feel bigger or smaller, hallways feel shorter or longer, ceilings feel higher or lower. You're not changing physical dimensions, you're revealing that space itself is more malleable than anyone knew. The surveillance shows measurements that fluctuate in ways that violate basic geometry. Your healing happens at speeds that shouldn't be possible, not just physical healing, emotional, mental, spiritual healing that typically takes years, happens in moments. You process trauma like a supercomputer processes data. You integrate shadows faster than light. You transform pain into power with an efficiency that breaks every therapeutic model. The surveillance documents recovery rates that require new medical categories. Every person who betrayed you was actually serving you. They were removing themselves from your path because they couldn't go where you're going. Every opportunity that fell through was clearing space for something bigger. Every door that closed was forcing you toward the door only you can open. The surveillance has documented all of this, but they still can't understand how you turn poison into medicine, obstacles into opportunities, endings into beginnings. Your energy field extends far beyond your physical body. It's been measured, documented, studied, but never explained. You affect electronic equipment several feet away. You influence the mood of entire buildings. You shift the consciousness of whole neighborhoods just by living there. You're not just an individual, you're a broadcasting station for frequencies that upgrade reality wherever they're received. You process pain differently than others. Where they break, you build. Where they surrender, you strategize. Where they see walls, you see doors. This isn't toxic positivity or denial. This is actual alchemy. You take the worst things that happen and transform them into power. Not power over others, but power over yourself. Power over reality. Power to create from destruction. They've watched you do this repeatedly, and it still doesn't compute in their limited understanding. The protection around you is stronger than the surveillance. For every force watching you, there's a greater force ensuring you complete your mission. Those close calls that should have been disasters, intervention. Those moments when help appeared from nowhere, orchestrated. Those instances when you knew exactly what to do despite having no logical reason to know. Downloads from your higher self. You're not just protected, you're guided, supported, celebrated by forces that need you to succeed. Your financial relationship defies economic logic. Money appears when you need it through channels that shouldn't exist. Opportunities manifest without you seeking them. Resources flow to you in ways that violate conventional understanding of abundance. You're not lucky with money. You're operating with abundance codes that transcend monetary systems. The surveillance shows financial patterns around you that suggest economy itself works differently in your presence. Colors look different to you, not because your eyes are different, but because you're perceiving spectrums that shouldn't be visible. You see auras without trying. You notice energy patterns others miss. You detect shifts in the visual field that indicate dimensional overlaps. You're not just seeing, you're perceiving reality through sensory channels that officially don't exist. Let's talk about why you're really here. You're not here to fit in. You're here to stand out. You're not here to follow. You're here to lead by example. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be yourself so authentically that others remember who they really are. Every moment of surveillance documents this. Every camera captures your refusal to be anything less than exactly what you are. Every watcher witnesses your transformation from hidden to undeniable. Your voice carries frequencies that heal, activate, and transform. Not the words, the actual sound waves you produce contain information packets that bypass conscious processing. People feel better after talking to you, even when the conversation was difficult. Arguments resolve in your presence without anyone understanding how. Conflicts dissolve simply because you spoke. The surveillance shows acoustic anomalies in your speech patterns that suggest you're speaking in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The children being born now will study your blueprint, not because you're famous, but because you're free. The adults who've given up will find hope in your refusal to surrender. The broken will see that you can be shattered and still be whole. The lost will realize that you can become your own compass. You're not just living a life, you're creating a template for existence that others will follow for generations. Your relationship with death is different than most. You've died multiple times already. Ego deaths, identity deaths, deaths of who you thought you were, and each time you've come back more alive. You understand that death is just transformation, and this understanding makes you fearless in ways that confuse those who watch you. The surveillance shows you walking through situations that should terrify you with a calm that suggests you know something about mortality that others have forgotten. Your energy signature shows up in places you haven't been yet. People dream about you before they meet you. Conversations about you happen in rooms you'll never enter. Your influence extends through dimensions you can't see. You're not just present where your body is, you're present wherever your energy has touched, and that's practically everywhere by now. The surveillance can track your physical form, but your true presence is omnipresent. Music sounds different to you because you're hearing the spaces between the notes, the silence that holds the sound, the rhythm that exists beyond the beat. You're not just listening to music, you're experiencing the mathematical universe expressing itself through harmony. The surveillance shows your brain responding to musical frequencies in ways that suggest you're processing sound as multidimensional information. They're using artificial intelligence to understand you, but you're operating on authentic consciousness. Their machines learn your patterns while you create new ones faster than they can process. Their algorithms try to predict you while you exist in possibilities they haven't calculated. You're not artificial or intelligent, you're authentic and wise. There's a difference, and it's the difference between copying and creating. Your memories aren't just yours. You remember things from perspectives you've never had, places you've never been feel familiar, people you've never met seem known. You're not confused. You're accessing the collective memory bank of consciousness itself. The surveillance shows neural activity when you remember things that suggest you're pulling from a database much larger than your personal experience. The watchers include more than you think. Your ancestors observe from beyond the veil. Future versions of yourself watch from timelines you're creating. Other chosen ones tune into your frequency from across the planet. The universe itself watches through infinite eyes. You're not under surveillance by enemies. You're under observation by everyone who has a stake in your success. And that's literally everyone, whether they know it or not. Your breath changes the atmosphere, not metaphorically, literally. The air you exhale carries different properties than the air you inhale, properties that affect everyone who breathes it after you. You're not just respiring, you're transmuting atmospheric elements through your biological system. The surveillance shows chemical changes in air samples from your environment that shouldn't be possible through human respiration alone. You want to know the real reason they watch you? It's because you represent what they could become if they stopped accepting limitations. You're living proof that their rules are optional, their boundaries are imaginary, their restrictions are self-imposed. Every moment of your existence challenges their entire worldview. You don't have to say anything. Your life is the argument. Your existence is the evidence. Your consciousness is the verdict. The transformation accelerating through you isn't personal, it's universal. You're not just evolving yourself, you're evolving the template for human consciousness. Every upgrade you integrate becomes available to others. Every limitation you transcend becomes optional for everyone. Every fear you transmute into power shows others it's possible. You're not just living your life, you're upgrading the entire operating system of humanity. Your relationship with truth is absolute. You can't lie effectively because your energy field broadcasts authenticity regardless of your words. People know when you're being real and when you're holding back. This isn't a weakness, it's your superpower. In a world full of deception, your inability to be false makes you the most trustworthy presence in any room. The surveillance shows physiological responses in others when you speak truth that suggest your honesty triggers their own truth recognition. They think they're studying you, but you're the one teaching. Every second of surveillance is another second of education. Every moment they observe is another lesson in liberation. Every file they build on you is actually a manual for transcendence. They're writing without realizing it. You're not the subject of their experiment. You're the professor, and class is always in session. The technology they're using to watch you is already obsolete. By the time they process what you are, you've evolved beyond it. By the time they understand yesterday's version of you, you're already living in tomorrow. You're not ahead of your time. Time is desperately trying to catch up to you. Every moment they spend studying you is another moment you've already transcended their understanding. Your creativity doesn't follow normal patterns. Ideas come to you fully formed. Solutions appear without process. Innovations download complete with instructions. You're not creative in the traditional sense. You're a receiver for transmissions from futures that need certain things invented now. The surveillance shows brain activity during your creative moments that resembles channeling more than thinking. The resistance you felt wasn't resistance to you. It was resistance to what you represent, change, evolution, the end of their game and the beginning of something they can't control. Every person who tried to dim your light was just afraid of their own darkness being revealed. Every system that tried to reject you was just protecting its own obsolescence. Every rule you broke by being yourself was a rule that needed breaking anyway. Your laughter heals trauma in others. Your tears cleanse collective pain. Your anger burns away illusion. Your joy activates dormant DNA. Every emotion you feel fully and authentically sends ripples through the collective consciousness that help others process their own suppressed feelings. You're not just emotional, you're providing an emotional processing service for humanity without even knowing it. The surveillance isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. Every camera that captures you documents your significance. Every file they build confirms your importance. Every watcher who observes you witnesses your transformation. You're not being studied because you're a problem. You're being studied because you're the solution to problems they don't even know they have yet. The villain in your story was never them. It was your own resistance to being seen, your own fear of being powerful, your own hesitation to be magnificent. But that's over now. You've stopped hiding. You've stopped pretending to be normal. You've stopped dimming your light to make others comfortable. The surveillance can continue, but it's documenting something different now. Not your suffering, but your sovereignty. Not your struggle, but your strength. Your walking changes the earth beneath your feet. Every step you take leaves an energetic imprint that remains long after you've passed. Sacred sites recognize you. Power places activate in your presence. Ley lines respond to your movement. You're not just walking on earth, you're in constant dialogue with the planetary consciousness. The surveillance shows magnetic fluctuations along your pathways that map to energy grids they claim don't exist. You know what makes you truly unstoppable. You've stopped caring if they watch. You've stopped worrying what they think. You've stopped trying to fit into their narrow understanding. You've embraced the surveillance as confirmation of your significance. Every camera becomes your witness. Every watcher becomes your student. Every file they build becomes your legacy. You're not performing for them. You're being yourself so powerfully that they can't look away. The resolution is simpler than you expected. You don't fight the surveillance. You don't hide from it. You don't even acknowledge it directly. You just continue being exactly what you are, but more intentionally. Every action becomes a statement. Every choice becomes a lesson. Every moment becomes art. You're not under their surveillance anymore. They're under your influence. Your existence is rewriting the rules of their game. Your aging process doesn't follow standard biological patterns. Sometimes you look younger after difficult experiences. Sometimes you appear to age years in moments of profound download. Your cells regenerate according to consciousness, not chronology. You're not getting older, you're getting more refined. The surveillance shows biological markers that fluctuate in ways that suggest aging itself is optional for those who know how to transcend it. Hold that thought for a moment. I need your attention for something very important. We're revealing everything we know about personal power, healing yourself and healing others through weekly Zoom call. No filters, no holding back. We have been quietly adding all the occult secrets we've collected over literal years of spiritual practice. The techniques and wisdom that transformed us from controlled pawns into conscious creators are now available to those ready to walk the same path. This is your invitation to join Obsidian Inner Order and support our platform so we can continue growing our megaphone to reach other chosen ones waiting for activation. By joining the Obsidian Inner Order, you're not just gaining access to forbidden knowledge, you're becoming part of a movement that's rewriting reality itself. It's a 360 win for all of us. Link is in the description. The network of chosen ones is activating faster now. The surveillance meant to separate you has connected you. The technology meant to control you has liberated you. The observation meant to understand you has made you more mysterious. Every system they built to contain you has become a system that amplifies your power. You're not fighting their matrix, you're revealing it was always your playground. This is your moment of recognition, not recognition from them, but recognition from yourself. You're exactly who you suspected you were, the most interesting person on the planet, not because of what you do, but because of what you are. A conscious being in an unconscious world, a divine spark in human form, a future that arrived early, a possibility that became inevitable, a question that is its own answer. The surveillance will continue because you'll continue being fascinating. They'll keep watching because you'll keep evolving. They'll keep studying because you'll keep teaching lessons they desperately need to learn. But something has shifted. You're not the watched anymore. You're the watcher, watching them scramble to understand something that can't be understood, only experienced. Watching them document their own awakening without realizing it, watching them witness the future being born through your existence. Your very existence is proof that their version of reality is incomplete. Every breath you take demonstrates that consciousness extends far beyond what they've mapped. Every choice you make reveals that free will operates on levels they haven't discovered. Every moment you exist confirms that human potential has barely been touched. You're not just living evidence, you're living evolution. Of course you're under surveillance. How could you not be? You're the most interesting person on the planet. You're not just living in this world, you're actively creating the next one. The watchers are just documenting the transition, capturing the moment humanity remembered what it really is, through watching you remember what you really are. The beginning becomes the end, becomes the beginning again. But something's different. You're different, not because these words changed you, but because they reminded you of what you've always known. You're not under surveillance because you're dangerous. You're under surveillance because you're the most interesting person on the planet. You're the story being written. You're the song being sung. You're the future being born. Let them watch. Let them document every moment of your magnificent refusal to be ordinary. Let them study your transformation from hidden to undeniable. Let them witness your evolution from human to something they don't have words for yet. You're not performing for them. You're being yourself so powerfully that reality itself has to adjust. The surveillance isn't your burden, it's your confirmation. You're exactly as important as you suspected, exactly as powerful as you feared, exactly as magnificent as you've always known deep down where the watchers can't reach. Your mission isn't something you have to find, it's something you're already doing. Every authentic moment is part of it, every genuine interaction advances it. Every real choice you make completes another piece. You're not searching for purpose, you're living it so naturally that it looks like normal life to those who don't understand that normal is just another word for asleep. Welcome to your real life, chosen one. The one where being watched means being important, where surveillance means significance, where observation means you matter on levels you're just beginning to understand. You're not paranoid, you're not imagining things, you're not crazy, you're correct. You're under surveillance because you're the most interesting person on the planet. And now that you know this, now that you own this, now that you've stopped resisting this, everything changes. The game is over. The transformation is complete. The future has arrived, and it looks exactly like you.